Hello, hello. Welcome back to Dropping into Happiness. I am Rachel.
Hi, Maggie. Hi, friends.
Welcome to this week's episode. We're in February and Valentine's Day is coming up this week. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. We want to talk about how we navigate holidays that tend to be very candy specific. So let's just jump right on in, Miss Maggie. So how do you handle holiday? I mean, because I think Christmas, yes, has a lot of goodies, but I feel like candy specific is primarily Valentine's Day and Halloween. So we got Valentine's Day. So what do you usually do? Because this is going into, is this your third Valentine's on Journey?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. It flew by. So with candy, the big thing for me is I avoid candy aisles this time of year. I personally just don't go down them, okay?
Yeah.
But I will say at Target, if you have a Target in your area, y'all, this is a fun time to take your barcode scanner if you're a WW member and go into the seasonal section because they have so many fun things like that Pirates booty. They have a Valentine's Day edition, 2 points per bag. They have,
Oh, nice.
yeah, the, oh gosh, what am I thinking of? The veggie chips,
Yes,
veggie
veggie
straws.
straws.
They have
Yeah.
ones that are like little hearts.
Do they really?
2 points. Yes, 2 points
I
per
did
bag.
not
There are
know that.
actually quite a few little snacks that are great to stock up on this time of year. So that's how I kind of get my excitement in is the barcode scanner at Target. But I try not to buy them. I don't bring them into my house. And then one thing when I'm a teacher, the way that a lot of students and a lot of faculty show their love is through candy bags and food.
Yeah.
So what I do is I turn it around and I give it to students, or
Oh,
I'll drop it off in the teacher's lounge
yeah.
and just get it out of my environment. So that way I'm not having to make the decision constantly. Is it yes? Is it no? Do I want it? Do I not want it? Is it worth the points? I just kind of take it out of the equation
I
as
see. And
much
I
as
mean,
possible.
I've mentioned before, but I live in a household with my husband and two teenagers who are not on plan.
Mm.
So having candy in the house is just kind of something that happens. So I'm a very out of sight, out of mind. Like kind of same concept, but still within my household. If it's not like on the counter or because for some reason candy always ends up in my fruit bowl, like where I keep all my fruits and stuff. I'm like, why? Why is
The
it here?
irony.
Yes, it's just one or the other, one way or the other. And so I can be very out of sight, out of mind, and that's very helpful when it comes to it. However, I'm not a chocoholic, but some days I just have to have something. So I do always keep dark chocolate Hershey Kisses on hand. So if I really, really want something, I'll just have, because they're 1 point per kiss. However, when you go up, it goes up in points. And that's with the WW plan and with personal points. So I really, that kind of helps me get through it. But when it comes to like these Halloween, I did pretty good on Halloween. I made sure we always got like the mini minis, like not like the little bars, like the mini minis, because those were not that bad when it came to points. So I could just count them out and know how many I had. Like, especially when I go to work, just kind of pack it in my bag. I knew how many points those were.
Yes.
And but Valentine's Day, like, the little heart-shaped boxes and the chocolates. And I want to say around the Christmas time, there was like a little one that C's did. And I think I checked it at like
candy.
11 or 12 points for the whole box. And I was like, I have weeklies. I'm going to do it.
Right.
Like, I really was like, it's going to be worth it. It's going to be worth it this time. Like every so great often, I can really just be like, I'm going to use the points. I'm going to use my weeklies that I've banked.
And I think that's great, Rachel, to be intentional about it because there's a difference between intentional, planned candy points and caught you off guard candy points and how we feel between the two. So if you want to make sure that this lifestyle is livable and candy is a big part of your Valentine's Day experience, then set a budget for it, enjoy your candy, and then you're able to move forward, knowing that you did something that gave you peace and was sustainable for you. For sure.
Well, and so for those who aren't really familiar, so with WW, we get daily points and we have weekly points. And you can roll over some of your dailies, 4 dailies actually to be exact, into your weeklies, and you can kind of bank your weeklies and use them all at one time. Do you find yourself, like, especially when it comes to holidays, do you find yourself adjusting for a holiday? Like, say a holiday's on a Thursday and your points start over on Monday. Like, do you start, getting an activity and water and adding to your weekly so you kind of have that cushion? Like, do you find yourself doing that?
Yeah, definitely for holidays and even just trips where I know I'm going to be out of town or any kind of high point day on the horizon. So of course this time we're talking Valentine's Day. You can plan ahead if you know you want some candy on Valentine's Day and you are going to go out to dinner with your partner or with your family or what the case may be. You can pre-track that ahead of time. Give yourself a budget, even overestimate, and then you know what you're working with through the week so that you can really go into that day feeling great about your planning and your choices.
That's not a bad idea, kind of overestimate, just giving yourself that little window. Because I'll do that, especially with Valentine's Day coming up. When does it land on? What day does Valentine's Day land on? Midweek? I don't remember.
That's great. Let's do a quick search.
I know. Let's see. It's
February
on
the 14th
Monday.
is a Monday.
That is the day that all my points start.
Me too. Weigh-in day, baby.
Oh no! It needs to be on a Sunday so I could just bank all week. Because it might start over on Monday, so that's gonna be. But
what's great now is if we do end up using all of our points day one, we have the whole week to rebuild our budget.
Very true.
If you're on WW, you might know we can build our budget through activity, through veggies, through water, and so. What's great about the new program is that hope is not lost, even if we use all of our points day one.
Which is a very big possibility. Because I used to drink wine a lot more before I started program, but I like very sweet wine, so Moscati and things like that, and those are really high in points for very low amount. And I just didn't find it worth it. But when it comes to New Year's and Christmas Day or Valentine's Day, I know I'm going to allow myself to have one. So do you ever find yourself just kind of giving yourself a pass? Have you ever done that? Being like, I've eaten clean all week. I know I had my rollovers. I'm just not going to track today. It's just going to be my day. I've done that. I did it on my birthday. I'm not going to lie.
I have done that, and I've done it more often this past year, which is why I unintentionally maintained my weight loss for so long. So for me, I think this year I'm going to be more intentional with planning and just honest tracking so I can keep my momentum going. Because when we're establishing a relatively new habit like tracking, I went 26 years of my life not tracking. So
True.
1 or 2 days not tracking, it could be harder for me to get back into the rhythm. So I think for me to protect the momentum I'm starting to build right now, I plan to track honestly and just work with whatever I have. But if you're someone who you need the mental break, you want the break, and you know that you'll pick right back up to regularly scheduled programming the next day, I don't see anything wrong with giving yourself that day off.
Yeah, and it's funny because when it comes to Valentine's Day, I feel like it's not an entire day's worth of celebration. I feel like Christmas Day is. Christmas Day is an entire day.
It could be a whole week for some families.
Right?
Yeah.
But Valentine's Day for me is kind of in the evening. It's going to be, an evening dinner or something nice. So I feel like I'm going to be very mindful because I eat the same breakfast every single day. And it's funny because I even had somebody ask me, are you sick of having the same old foods? And I'm like, I really like that meal. I to the point where sometimes if my husband makes me breakfast and I'm like, oh, thank you, I'll make what I would have had for breakfast for lunch because I missed it. And I'm like, I really like it though. But so I know I'm going to be very mindful for breakfast and for my lunch, but I do think I'm going to give my pass just for that dinner time. I'm going to allow myself some of the treats. I'm going to allow myself some wine. I'm going to allow myself, because one of the big meals that I know that especially my husband and I, when we go on our anniversary dinner, we love going to Chinese food, Thai, we'll do something like that where it's a little more carb heavy, with the rice and the noodles. And so, but just that one meal, I think I'm going to give myself that pass just for the one meal. Cause I am that person that it won't deter me. I also was that person that I used to weigh myself every single day. Even if it was up, it did not affect my day. I would use it as data. I was like, okay, so which I have something high in sodium. What was I doing? Was I tracking everything? So I use it strictly data. So I think that's helped me when it comes to these kinds of days. When I'm like, well, I know I could go up a little bit because I'm going to have this kind of meal.
Right.
Okay,
You'll have
with
that opportunity to reflect, even if it's not physically in your tracker. You kind of have that quick check-in of like, okay, here's where we are.
And I don't let it affect my mindset when it comes to the rest of my journey for the rest of the week. And like you said too, especially with personal points, we'll have that opportunity to I call them buckets. I don't know if anybody else calls them buckets. So like it's my weekly bucket. And I'm like, I feel like I'm like adding goodies to it, which are my personal points.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I can add to my bucket. So even if I utilize my entire bucket, I can spend the rest of my week, like you said, adding back into my bucket to kind of building that back up. And I won't, But because I've been so lax on tracking on special days in the past, I think that's something I want to focus on this year. And really, I'm going to give myself that evening for a higher point day, but I do think I'm going to track all of it though.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I misunderstood your original intention. I think, we can totally have a high point day, whether it's a holiday or not. Like I mentioned with the candy, there's that difference between this will be an intentional high point meal versus I didn't plan this and I overdid it and I feel upset about it, Because I think for sure I'll probably have maybe Texas Roadhouse or something fun. It was funny. Our first Valentine's together with Seth and I, we went to Buffalo Wild Wings. We had just started dating, so it was like we didn't want anything to be too serious, So I don't know. And plus our anniversary is in the same month, so usually Valentine's Day is a bit more casual anyway. But I might plan for something like that and just see how it goes. But what I like to remind myself of is I didn't have to join WW because of Valentine's Day or because of my birthday or even Thanksgiving or any holiday. It's all the other days in between where we show up for ourselves. So even if you're out there listening to this and Valentine's Day turns into a high point day for you, we give ourselves grace. We just keep it moving because it's very normal. You're not alone and it's okay. We're human, not robots. We should be able to enjoy the holidays and have the candy if we want it.
Yeah, I say that all the time in workshops. Don't ever, ever, ever feel like you can't celebrate a holiday or a birthday or Super Bowl. Those things come around every single year. And there should never be a point where we feel like we can't celebrate any of these days. We can adjust. I mean, maybe you want to have a low point Valentine's Day. Awesome. Do you know how many amazing meals you could cook or restaurants that you can go to that have very good grilled or seafood options? You can 100% have a phenomenal holiday, staying within your points in your budget. But if, like you said, if you want to have a holiday, remember it's not a Halloween, it's a holiday, and have that day, have a high point day. We are 100% allowed to do that without the guilt, without kicking ourselves, without feeling bad about it. We absolutely have that option. That's part of the amazing flexibility with WW. I mean, I've said this before, balance is my absolute favorite word when it comes to our journey, because finding that balance is what's going to be sustainable. It's because you can't go the rest of your life without celebrating your birthday or Valentine's Day. That's not sustainable. That's not doable in our long-term goals.
Right. And I think it's reminding ourselves that everyone's version of sustainable will look different.
Yes.
So Rachel could go in and have a high point Valentine's Day. I could go in and have a low point Valentine's Day. And it doesn't mean one is more right than the other in terms of living your life. So I think that's the biggest thing that I try to ask myself is, what will give me peace? And I try to just let those decisions come from that question rather than letting it catch me off guard, because we all know Valentine's Day is coming, so we have the opportunity to reflect and think, what do I want to do? How do I want to navigate this?
Absolutely. And you know what I feel like too, I'll almost even with it landing on a Monday, landing on the first day of my WW week, I know I'll find myself maybe even going on an extra walk or something the week before, or maybe making sure I have a little bit more rollovers, making sure I get my water in every day. And regardless on Valentine's Day, I've noticed even on the days that I have my high point days or I give myself a little grace, I never skimp on my water. That's something I always try to keep one constant, regardless if I'm going to give myself that break day. I even during the holidays, during Christmas time and everything, I wasn't as great with my tracking as I could be, but I never skimped on my activity or my water. I always made sure that was something I focused on regardless of my points we're going to go over for the day.
Mhm.
So, I think the week before, even if I end with like some extra in my weekly bucket, I will feel better going into Valentine's Day, knowing that I had that the week before and then my game plan for the week coming. Because like we said, we know it's coming, so we can absolutely plan for it. What do you think you want to do this year? Are you going to have a high point day, or are you going to work it in?
I think I will have a high point day that I'll work into the whole week. So
Yeah.
I think I'll recognize that Monday will be a little bit higher in points, and then I'll just make sure that we're staying within the budget throughout the week, and making sure I don't end up in the negative, because I don't think I've talked about this on the podcast yet. But my big goal for 2022 that I've recently discovered is I just want to stay in my weekly budget more often than not. And
Yeah.
I could take time and get really specific about how many weeks out of the year, but I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
The main thing is that's the overall goal. If we have a high point day, that happens, whether it's a holiday or not. But I just want to make sure that I don't let it derail the week, and that I just stay within the weekly budget coming up on the following Monday. So I think that'll be my intention. If it ends up being a low point day, that's fine too. But I think it's better to kind of over prepare.
Like I said, I feel like it's going to be a high point meal for me.
Right.
Yeah. Because I mean, when I have a high point day, that's like Christmas Day. That's like
Right.
French
Yeah,
toast.
that's so true. It's more of like the dinner, I think.
Yeah, French toast for breakfast, and whatever for lunch, and big dinner. But Valentine's Day is I feel like it's a little bit more of a one meal kind of thing. So I'm going to be very mindful the week before, and that day I'm going to have a high point meal, which is going to be my dinner that night.
Something we haven't even touched on: 0 point foods.
Yeah,
You said you had your go-to like low point breakfasts and stuff, but we could really utilize 0 point foods the day of, leading up to our one meal, and really not break the budget too much. So,
absolutely, especially
one
so.
thing to remember.
I mean, thinking about that, so my personal daily, I get 20 daily, and then I think at the very beginning of my week when it starts over, I get 35 weekly. So true, if I had a 0 point breakfast, a 0 point lunch, which by the way can still be a lot of food for people who are not on program, and they think, oh well, that's it. The word 0 does not mean a low amount of food. It means
just the right types of foods.
Yeah, the right kind of food. Oh, I shouldn't say right kind. The healthier food, the more nutrient dense food, things that are on our personal 0 point list. Because my list is different than Maggie's list, is different than so and so's list. So, utilizing my 0 point foods, I could have a 0 point breakfast and a 0 point lunch, and then go into dinner with 55 for my dinner, and I could totally stay within that. I could absolutely do that.
Yeah.
And utilizing some veggies in the evening, and I'm still having my noodles, still having my glass of wine, and still having a really, really nice Valentine's Day evening, and not feeling, I want to say breaking the bank. I know I love how, and it's so funny how a lot of our WW members, we talk about our points like money. Like they say, oh, that costs too much.
Yeah, it's like a bank, Our dailies are our checkings, and our weeklies is the savings account.
Yes,
when you go negative, it's like you're using a credit card.
Maybe that's like, why we don't like to see that so much, because it's like it's like a bank
feels
account
like we're
going in the negative.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. I mean, we talked about that in January in workshops about the ostrich effect, right? Like how when we think there's going to be a negative result or a negative number, we are like, oh, I don't want to track that because it looks like I did something bad, because it's a negative number. So we just kind of want to not track, and we want to not look at it, and we just want to stick our head in the sand. And that's a real thing. Like for anybody who's done that before, please don't kick yourself for that. Like you are not alone. The majority of America seems to want to do that. When there's a negative number, we don't want to track it. We don't want to look at it, but we don't have to look at it in that manner. It's just data. It's us being aware. It's us tracking. It's us being more accountable to ourselves and to our program, but it's okay.
Right. One thing I heard recently in workshop was that a member was looking at their tracker as a reward very often. And so they would feel negative feelings if they went into the negative. And she said, I started to just look at it as a tool and as an honest friend, and not as a reward system.
Yeah.
And I thought that was such an interesting mindset shift. And that's honestly helped me think about my tracker like that recently. I think, Rachel, my gear has been turning as we've been conversating. Is that a word? Conversing? Conversating. And I think for Valentine's Day, I'm going to do a special what I eat in a day reel for Valentine's Day. Normally, I show my food on stories. By the way, if you're not following us on Instagram, our personal health accounts, and our podcast, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But I will do a Valentine's what I eat in a day reel. I think that would be really fun. If you want to do it too, Rachel,
I think I will too. Yeah, for that accountability, because I don't know if I've ever done that in general. I don't ever share with you guys the kind of things that I eat. I guess because I feel like it's so boring. I'm like, why would anybody want to see what I eat today?
I'm just nosy. I love seeing what people are eating. I love grocery hauls. I love it all. So if you want to accept the challenge, we could do it together.
Okay. We're, wrapping up football season, and during football season, my husband was like, I want to get pizza and give me wings. And I come home with like all that stuff. And then I'm like, look at this great fruit bowl I found too for the game. And he's like, okay. Cause I was all excited about the big fruit bowl I found. Cause if I'm going to sit there and pick at something, I want to sit there and pick at fruit. Cause if not, I will absolutely have the entire bag of chips or way more wings than I should have. So yeah, that's kind of funny. I should have shown my little football haul of like, here's something.
That would have been so cool. Everybody, if you're watching this on YouTube, comment that Rachel should be sharing more of what she eats and her food hacks, because she's got some good ones.
Right? I do have some. Because what was the one I showed you about?
The pumpkin shake or smoothie. Oh my gosh, it's so good. I love it.
I know.
Maybe you could show that on the Instagram page soon. I know it's kind of out of season, but pumpkin's great all year round.
And it's so filling, and it's really high in fiber. And I know that's really weird to think about in the middle of winter. We're like, it's not fall, it's not pumpkin season right now. Oh my goodness. Oh, and speaking of relationships, one of our other WW friends just texted me. That's funny. Friends that we make through WW. It's so fun.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. All right, guys. Well, like I said, for the whole month, we're thinking about love and relationships and ourselves and loving ourselves. So we're on to our goal part of of this program, of our podcast. So I'll start this week. So my goal this week is I want to enjoy my Valentine's chocolates. I want to enjoy all of them, no matter what my husband gets me, but I am going to track every single bite, regardless if it goes into a negative, because I know I'm going to give myself that day. On the 15th, I don't think I will be eating any chocolates. However, on the 14th, I'm going to have them, I'm going to enjoy them, and I'm going to track every single bite. And then my recommendation for this week, and it's kind of funny, I even wrote notes for this. So my recommendation for this week is dark chocolate. I even did a little bit of research on my dark chocolate. So I will put this in the show notes as well, about where I got this information. So guys, dark chocolate is rich in antioxidants, minerals, it has less sugar than milk chocolate, and some research says that it may lower the risk of heart disease, reduce inflammation, and improve brain function. So dark chocolate for the win.
Dark chocolate advocate.
Yes.
So my goal for this week, if you listen to episode 5, I had the goal of completing the Rise and Shine challenge in the WW app, tracking my breakfast every day. So now this week, I'm going to be focusing on 7 days strong, which is just tracking a meal every single day. And I've already gotten this badge in the past, but I am trying to build and restore my relationship with my tracker, so I'm easing into things. So 7 days strong. And then my recommendation, I do echo the sentiment of dark chocolate, but if you're like a gummy person and you haven't checked out Smart Sweets,
yes.
They're so great. You can get them in a lot of different places, Whole Foods, Target, even Walmart's been carrying them recently, and you can, of course, buy them online. The points vary from 2 points to 4 points for the whole bag. Yeah. And I love it because then you feel like you're having a whole big moment eating directly from the bag. They're great for holidays where candy is focused, but also like if you're going to the movies, or you can just toss them in your bag, or road trips. They're a great, great, great treat. My favorite are the Smart Sweets fish. I also love the peach rings. And then a chocolate recommendation I have is the WW mini bars from the WW shop. My favorite is the peanut butter pie. 2 points, all plans, very, very yummy. And it's great to have those things on hand all year round for when that candy fix comes your way. So
Absolutely.
Those are my recommendations.
I remember the first time I found Smart Sweets. I was over the moon when I scan that bag. Probably
Yeah.
my favorite one though is just the straight up little gummy bear ones. Those are that's my favorite Smart Sweet. And then my favorite WW mini bar is the triple chocolate mini bar. It's like chocolate nougat on a chocolate cookie dipped in chocolate. So if anybody really
chocolate.
And it's 2 points. And it's such a great little chocolate fix. Sometimes in the evening, if I'm really dying and I want a little chocolate fix, I'll have me a mini bar. But all right, guys. Well, happy Valentine's Day. It's coming up in just a couple of days. So happy Valentine's Day. Enjoy your day. Have a good one. And thanks for dropping by.
Have a magical and lovely day. Bye.
Yay.